Yo, what is up guys? I'm bringing you a brand new video, and this time we're talking about the best grind spots in BDO for 2022. And this guide is going to be focused around the lowest amount of money you can make at number 10, all the way up to the best money spot in the game at number 1. And I'm also going to be giving you guys the gear requirements to start doing those spots. And something to keep in mind is that the minimum gear requirement is also the value that I put on the spot per hour. So if you see that a requirement for a spot requires 269 AP and you can make, let's say, 280 mil, that's going to mean that that's how much money you should be making at that AP. You can make more money than that if you have better gear, but I'm going to be giving you the very bare minimum barrier to entry for all of these spots. So let's move on to number 10. Now, definitely there are 10 more grind spots. There's 10 grind spots in this game that are worth more than 93 mil an hour. But if you're a brand new player, this is likely one of the first spots you're ever going to go. And as well, this spot also is great for skill points. And generally, if you need to start a new character or if you're a brand new player, you're going to be hitting up Polly's Forest because you can go there almost instantly. And the money is sort of a secondary factor. Once you get some better gear, you can move right on to Sulfur Mines, which is 200 million an hour. It's still good for skill points, not quite as good as Polly's Forest, but at least you're going to be making better money per hour. You require at least 230 AP to start one-shotting these mobs, and so generally, you know, if you get full Tet Tuvala on your seasonal, you can head straight over to Sulfur Mine, and you should be fine. And it also gives you a chance at 2 out of the 4 of the Archaeologist map pieces, which is really nice, because that's a rare item that you can eventually obtain, and you'll have half the pieces, and otherwise you can just go to Pilaku and make pretty similar money with pretty similar gear score. Number 8, we have Hystria Ruins. Now, this particular grind spot is a little bit better than Sulfur in terms of money per hour, but it does require more AP. You're going to need at least 245 AP with 309 DP. It's sort of your first introductory spot to learn how to pull mobs together. It's more of a back attack focused sort of spot, whereas other spots like Sulfur Mine and Polly's is just going to be about as fast as you can go. And it also drops the rarest piece of the Laffy Bed Mountains upgraded compass. So if you want to get a item that can teleport players to your location, then this is a really good spot to make some decent money as well as have that chance. At number 7, we have Star's End. It's 230 million silver per hour. It's super convenient to get to. It's just outside of Kelphion, but it does have a huge variance in the amount of money you're going to make. I know some people that go like 20 hours dry sometimes on distortions. Some people can get 4 distortions in an hour. And since that item's worth like 340 mil, you can see how the amount of money you're going to make per hour is going to vary pretty hugely. But on average, if you stay consistent at this spot, you're going to be making 230 mil an hour, and it's only going to require about 245 AP and 309 DP. Keep in mind this spot can be a little bit busy because it is a very easy to get to spot. Now, Swamp Fogans is another really, really solid spot that a lot of people sort of forget about, but it's up to about 250 million silver an hour. It drops the blue shards that are required to make the HP Cup ring upgrade as well as the DR belt upgrade, so it's a good spot if those are the rings you want to go for. And it's a very convenient location just outside of Hydel, and since not many people do it, it has super little congestion. And yeah, it only requires about 330 DP. It's not going to hit you that hard other than the travels, which are big round mobs that are sort of the elite mobs. Those are the only ones that are really going to hurt you. So moving on to number 5, we have Sycraia Abyssal, or the Sycraia Lower Zone. It's 280 million an hour, requiring 269 AP and 325 DP. And it's a very, very easy grind. It doesn't have a lot of mechanics. It doesn't have a lot of finesse to it. All you got to do is dodge some slow towers, and that's pretty much it. But the reason that this spot is so nice is it doesn't have a lot of people that are going to be bugging you for duels. There's tons of rotations, and since it is in the ocean, a lot of people don't want to bother with sea content to get boats and travel out there, so people don't even go. It also has a chance at dropping Sacred Songs, and that can be used for the Krogdalo Horse Sea Gear, and you're going to need 5 of them for that, so it is a spot to consider, even if it's not the best money because you have more AP. Some people go there for that. Churros is actually a new one that just popped up on this list no less than, I would say, 2 weeks ago, and the reason for that is because they upped the price of the Flame of Despair. So it's a dual grind zone, and you can drop a Flame of Despair from any of the monsters with an increased chance from the boss, the Ulatuka boss, And now that it's worth 2 billion on the market, it has become a really good money per hour spot with 290 mil per hour, with only 269 AP being required and about 330 DP. And there's lots of rotations. It's pretty uncontested. In fact, it's not even that hard to get rotations on Arsha at some times, so it can be a really, really good spot, as well as it has sort of a pity drop system for embers. So even if you don't get the very rare drop of the actual flame, you can still collect 100 embers for that 2 billion payout, which is nice. One thing to mention about the spot, though, is that some players do find it annoying because you have to pull the mobs together a little bit, and they have CCs, and in general, like, the range mobs are hard to pull, so a lot of people don't love the spot. But if you're okay with it and you got big AoEs, it can be quite nice. The number 3, getting the bronze positioning here, is Castle Ruins in Elvia. 300 million silver an hour, requiring only 261 AP and 320 DP. The reason this spot is so good is they recently nerfed it from a 270 AP's grind zone down to 250. I still recommend 261 because that's when you start hitting really good brackets at 257 and 261, and your potential to make even more money goes up pretty fast once you hit 269. And because they don't hit very hard, it's a super low barrier to entry. However, this spot is going to be pretty contested, and so you are going to have to deal with hopping and trying to find good servers and maybe even having to deal with duel for spots, which can be annoying, but overall, it is a very lucrative zone for low AP. Now, moving on to the ultimate grind zones for players that are basically hard cap gear, like Bloody Monastery is a spot that I still grind even at 326 Kudum. And so it is a really, really high value drop zone for money because of the lunar necklaces, as well as because it's an Elvia spot, you get lots of money in trash loot, and it's also it also has a function that drops Crimson Bells, which can then spawn even more monsters, which actually makes it a pretty fun spot, and it also makes it pretty good for XP. But there are very few rotations, and because it's so valuable, there's very few, or very highly contested as a result. And gear requirements, I recommend 281 AP and 341 DP. I know that some players go there before, but I really don't think that going to Bloody Monastery compared to Castle Ruins or really any of the previous grind spots is that much more money unless you hit 281. So typically 281, 341 is what I recommend. And for our last spot, this is the ultimate grind zone in the game. This is my default spot that I love to travel to and grind at, and that is Orc Camp. It is the highest potential money in the game, and it has very little variance in the amount of money you can make. Most of the money is raw silver. You get Seeds of the Void, you get the Flames, which are worth 3 million, and you get just a crazy amount of trash loot, which you can just sell and not have to worry about taxable items on the market. And that's what makes Orc Camp so crazy. But it is a very contested grind zone. There are lots of people that want to grind here, but there are like at least maybe 5 or 6 rotations that you can make at this grind spot. So if you're flexible and you don't mind that, then orcs can be very, very profitable. And once again, I do recommend players have at least 281 AP and 341 DP for their best results here. But that's my top 10 grind spots for 2022. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Once again, this is the money you can make at the recommended levels of AP. It is not uncommon that people make almost 1 billion silver at Orc Camp by the time they reach super high levels of gear, but this is reasonably what you can expect by using a blue loot scroll and going to these particular spots at the recommended AP that I list. So hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, please drop a subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.